I was born in St. Tammany Parish in 1921. My first memory of being involved in plants would be going with my dad to the woods. Since I was the oldest of 6 children, he did not have a son until the 4th child arrived. He had 3 girls, so I was able to go with him a lot of places that I would not have been able to go to had I been the oldest with no brothers. And I remember that was the first time that I ever saw the native azaleas in the woods. And usually we would pick some and bring home. I remember that about them. But I also remember going with him, and while he was doing something, I'd be out there in the woods digging them little wild gingers that had them little jug plants, you know, and I loved to bring them and to smell them. When I got married, I had a job. I kept my job, and then I had 2 children. I had Freddie, was born in 51, Margie was born in 53, and I worked until she was 2 years old. And then I gave up my job because by that time we had started a dairy farm, and the farm was actually taking care of all our expenses by then, and I didn't have to have my paycheck. So after that, I did not work outside the home. But then I had 3 more children. So Mark is my youngest. Mark was born in 1960. After I got Mark in school, I had a little time. Having a love of plants and wanting to work, I knew that I wasn't going to stay home and just do nothing. I work all the time, to tell you the truth. I'm always doing something. And the first encounter with the nursery business, we bought a few ligustrum. And we planted them out in one of the fields back where I live. I live 3 miles back where we have the dairy farm. We have a tree farm over there. And anyway, we grew them off and sold them at a good profit. And after that, I told my husband, I said, well, you know, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we ought to start growing some nursery stuff. And so we took a little of that money and bought some more plants. Didn't know nothing. Went out and bought some azalea liners, planted them in the field, and my husband fertilized them just like he did the corn, killed every one of them. Wasn't one left, dead down the road. So we learned right away that azaleas didn't take a lot of fertilizer like a corn crop did. But anyway, that was the start of the nursery business. When I got into business, I would pick up price lists from people that was growing, and they were all growing the same thing. And none of them was really concentrating on native plants. And I started trying to grow natives and offer them to the public. And every time I had an opportunity to talk to anybody, I'd always tell them, keep your eyes open. When you're out there in the woods for something that's a little bit different or unusual, maybe something a little smaller that would adapt itself to the landscape. One of my sons came in here this morning, and he said he was going to go walk in the woods this morning, walking down the river. My property where I live goes down to Javunke. And I took him out there and I said, now this is a cardinal flower. And I said, these things came out of Texas. And I want you, while you're looking today, to see if you can't find me one in them woods that I get some seeds off of. So anyway, I want to propagate the seed from Tangipahoa Parish. And what I try to do is to grow plants from our area. And a lot of them make pretty flowers, a lot of them have a nice growth habit. And you know they're going to be more drought resistant because they're growing out there with just what the Lord provides them with, and not that much to fertilize either. And in the pest, they're usually pretty pest resistant or they wouldn't be there. So there's less spraying, just less work all the way around. And then you're growing something from your own area. People always ask me, what's your favorite plant? Well, that's hard to say, but if you say what's your favorite native, it would have to be native azaleas. I've been growing them for so long, and I first started growing them from seed many years ago, because in one of the American Horticulture magazines, I don't know what year it was, it's many, many years ago, I know the first year that I picked any seeds was in probably 1966. I didn't even know what kind of seed pod they made, but this article showed what they looked like, so I knew what I was hunting. And I remember going down on our property next to the creek, and it was in this late summer, and it was hot that day. And I will remember so well because my dad died in '68, and this was the year before he passed away. It was that summer, and the mosquitoes had just worked me over, and he got on to me about so many mosquito bites, but that's what I'd gone was to pick them native azalea seeds. So that's the first ones I grew off probably within about 1967, and that's how many years I've been growing them. I have some down there in containers. It's probably a good 10 foot tall, and I'm hoping to build a little display garden over here on the right and put some of my best ones out there, and then eventually I guess I just have to sell some of those great big ones. But anyway, I grow them from seed and I grow them from cuttings. But there's just nothing like them. I can tell you this, that a lot of people walk through and they don't see anything. I remember one time going to a meeting in New Orleans. I'd been a member of the American Horticultural Society for many years and was never able to go to a meeting because it might be in San Francisco or New York or somewhere else, but this year it was going to be in New Orleans. So I was going to go. And I did go, and I remember the guy that did the opening speech. He said that we people who are in horticulture should sensitize the people that we come in contact with to their surroundings. And so many people just don't see nothing. I had this cousin, she was a school teacher. She lived right up the road here from the nursery, about 5 or 6 miles. I got her interested in plants. Well, one night she calls me. She said, you know, I drove out by the old place today. That was up the road from here. And she said, I looked out there in those woods, and she said, you know, I guess they've been there before, but I'd never noticed those dogwoods like they were this year. And I thought, she never looked. What we have here is so much good stuff to offer if people would just use it. If some of the people would more educate themselves in our native flora and where it could be used, I think it would help everybody.